You know, I have to say, maybe, and this is weird blasphemy for a lot of people, sure, but maybe we had to fall so hard in order to get something that looks good. Like, of course, as I said, the movie's not out yet, so I could eat my words, but dang, this looks really good.
I disagree. It looks really good. I just think all we had to do was have the foresight to know to not use Michael Bay. Like, it's crazy where he's just gone and everything's different.
Well,
like,
here's
correlation
the thing.
isn't equal to causation.
No,
but
here's the thing. I'm not saying that in that kind of thing. It's more like, now that he's gone, and this is just like an awesome new direction. If it weren't for because remember the first Transformers movie wasn't bad. It had still questionable elements, but it still wasn't bad. So I'm saying that now that the Transformers fans are very pissed off with Michael Bay, and just like seeing this come out where his name is not associated, and seeing all the stuff that I'm going to talk about later, just this could just be like a huge, massive, okay, let's watch this movie now, and everybody just comes back.
Would they have put so much effort into it if things hadn't gotten so bad? If it was just a Transformers movie and then they made a reboot 10 years later,
that's what I'm saying.
Felt so fresh. If we just say, oh, that's another Transformers movie, so, oh, it's a reboot, who cares?
Yeah, that's
you got a decent. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, just like that's what I said. Maybe we had to fall first, after seeing the potential, to get to something where they know they have to do effort. So, of course, being the Transformers person here, I'm going to be talking about a lot of elements, but just like going down the line, it's weird how they didn't use any of the other like established female characters in the, I guess, G1 lore. I mean, there weren't many, of course. I mean,
Are we talking about robots or humans?
The humans. It's
okay.
It's weird how they made like a new one, not even like an obscure one from the IDW comics or whatever. Just they had material, but whatever, that's fine. Not a bad thing. But
the thing is, the movie canon is its own canon, and when we get to canon, I'm going to be talking about my theory, well, I'll get to that later. Just you do say what you're saying.
Okay, and then there's turning 18, getting a car. Oh boy, aren't we lucky? But that's just a true thing. It's not going to obviously bother me. So the thing with the whole Bumblebee not talking again, I don't really care, because it can be used for good effect. I mean, if you watch the early trailer, that whole Rickroll thing, and then how he just immediately rejected it, that was funny. Like it can be some really good comedic effect. That's funny, but the fact is that they're also doing it in Transformers Cyberverse, and that's still more. It's more comedy based, but at this point, is that just going to be his thing now? Is that just
the thing with? Firstly, I think part of it is that, yeah, it's probably the movie canon is probably going to affect the lore, where there's going to be a lot of situations where he doesn't speak, and audiences are probably used to that in Bumblebee, so you just continue with it. Especially since the thing is that this movie is, air quotes, billed as a prequel to the Marvel universe, to the Transformers universe. So they have to stay consistent with Bumblebee not talking, because this is supposed to be a prequel.
Yeah, but something could have happened to make him not talk.
Yeah, something could have happened. Which is why my second point is that even though it's a Transformers movie, it's also, at its core, like E.T. It's like a boy and his creature movie, where the creature doesn't speak, because the bond is supposed to be non-verbal and it's something that only they can understand, and person takes time to understand culture. And if you just like, hey, what's up, you probably would feel it'd be harder to like, you're probably supposed to be like emphasize the human is supposed to see it as like a pet or something like that, where if it would just be like another character, where it's supposed to be more than that.
I get it. I'm sorry. I was in the comments and they're just like, I thought John Cena was supposed to be in this movie. Where is he? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's right there. Oh, I get it. Okay, all right. Because like I just saw the comments a lot. So like,
you see, the thing is, the fact that the meme is no longer everywhere means that when it's used well.
Yeah. So that legitimately took me some time, which actually made me appreciate it more. So, but yeah, going on. You're actually correct with that, and it's probably going to have a lot of like similar elements, except it's a giant transforming robot. But we've seen that done before as well. It's just in the Iron Giant.
I was also thinking about Iron Giant.
In the Iron Giant, he couldn't like do something in disguise though. So there's another element. He was like 50 feet.
Because I noticed when she looked all surprised when he went evil robot mode, and I'm thinking, yeah, Iron Giant, but. And I watched a double toasted video talking about this for the previous trailer. If you can't try to compare yourself to the Iron Giant, because everyone will just think, man, Iron Giant is so great. You have to carve out your own niche, which is the movie seems to be doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can't be too similar to the Iron Giant, or it will fail.
Well, moving on to the next point, other than the scenes between them are cute. Oh man, the other two Decepticon bad guys in the movies are triple changers. It's so good.
What's that?
You don't remember triple changer? It's like Blitzwing, where they can where they can scan two alternate modes and turn into them. Did you see?
Well, I assumed, but I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, they turned into cars from a plane and a helicopter, and not only that, but them being just like the military in these things are usually rock stupid. Except for that one scene where they fought Scorponok in the first movie, which was amazing. But the fact that the Decepticons are here, it's like, okay, no, this guy is a fugitive. And, if you don't take him down, then things are going to be bad. Also, we're giant transforming robots. Who are you to question us?
The thing is, when you said, oh yeah, I thought your next point would be they're triple changers and they take the time to show the transformations in a way that logically makes sense, which I'm assuming is going to be a next point, rather than the whole liquid metal nonsense that other Transformers movies where they just explode into cars 10 times, into robots 10 times the size. You're like, what?
Didn't that just... correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not, well versed in Transformers movie stuff, but didn't that start happening more later?
It pretty much always happened. It's just that the things got more complicated. So you see people like just popping in and out of robots in the middle of fights so often, you're like, what's going on? In the first movie, things were much lower key, so it was probably easier to follow.
Yeah, and the fact, one of the fun parts of Transformers that people don't really isolate, but it is fun, is seeing the transformations actually,
because the whole
makes sense.
The Transformers are... The Transformers franchise is a giant toy advertisement. Yeah. And the toys can transform. So you like seeing, oh, that's how the toy does it. Seeing they made Transformers toys for the Michael Bay movies. So it's not like it was impossible, but it was a lot harder to identify with, and so you couldn't really relate to. Well, relate's probably not the right word, but you couldn't really relate to the characters because you couldn't really tie the cars to the machines because they felt so separate.
I confess that any toy that had like more than 4 steps, I just either did completely wrong or gave up on as a kid. I felt it was way too much investment for it.
The only Transformers toy I ever had was like 1 step or 2 steps. I'm like, yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's why I couldn't have any like cardboard snap together toys, because I just thought this is way too much work to get to just like something I want to just go in and just play. And my mom certainly wasn't going to do it, so I just stopped getting those type of toys.
Yeah, that's why we didn't accept Nintendo's gracious offer to give us a Nintendo Labo.
But yeah, and just nice to see that they're also adding, because Michael Bay put in RC, the female, the one of the most prominent female Autobots in, I think, Transformers 2, and then like it showed her and killed her immediately. Without just like, I don't think she even had lines. Maybe one, I'm not sure, but she barely got an introduction and she was killed immediately. So now seeing one that's just there, it's like,
there's a female Autobot? I didn't.
No, as in a female Transformer, one of the Decepticons, if not both. Just like seeing one that's just there, it's like, you know what? Just like that's cool.
For someone who doesn't watch Transformers, I watch a lot of people talking about Transformers. There was another video by Lindsay Ellis, in Transformers Lady on the internet, where basically she was saying that female Transformers got a lot more prominent later on, to the point where it's kind of egregious that they're completely absent from the Michael Bay movies when they're kind of like everywhere else now. Yeah,
because especially like Windblade, which I think they had a contest or something to like create your own Transformer, and the things with the most votes are going to get through. And so it could be vote if they want to be an Autobot, Decepticon, male, female, whatever, that kind of stuff. And they just created Windblade, and then she just kept coming up in new stuff. And then the comics like expanded on her thing, where there's an entire subsection of female female Transformers. They weren't necessarily Autobots. And then like in Transformers Cyberverse, people like Slipstream and Acid Storm are back, and like, this is great. This is because I don't see, obviously this isn't something where just like, I don't see this as feminism, nowhere close, and I don't see this as forced diversity, because they were always there, and they were always there, but just not in a good capacity. Everybody else is still getting their cool stuff, and it's not like they're taking anything away or they're explicitly trying to make the spotlight about them. If they're there, then cool. Who cares? So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and of course, this brings me to the fact that the weird before I get to the best part of this trailer, the weird thing where apparently the person we saw was not Starscream but was actually Blitzwing, which is weird because I don't think Blitzwing has ever had that coloration.
The thing is, has Blitzwing appeared in the modern Michael Bay movies? Because Starscream doesn't look like that in the Michael Bay movies either.
Well, Starscream looks like a gray Dorito, but it's I don't know if Blitzwing appeared. I know he appeared in Transformers Animated again, but which had a lot of like influence in terms of concepts from the movies. But I don't know. Maybe that is something that they're just like keeping it. But would more people have something to say about that then? Who knows? But yeah,
because that's my thing. Where wait, so what you're saying first?
It's fine if it's Blitzwing. The issue is that Starscream, at least if they're going to, of course, not give him the bare minimum character that he had in Michael Bay movies. Like seriously, how do you have Starscream and not have him be treacherous? Like, what is even the point? Just between all of that, Starscream's just more fun to watch. We barely know. Blitzwing has barely had any sort of big, consistent showing. It's mostly just prominence in the original and Transformers animated. So, I mean, it'll be interesting, but I'm sure most people would have preferred for Starscream. Or I think some people say they backpedaled, but I don't know the validity of that statement, so I'm just going to stick with this until proven officially otherwise. But this moves on to the greatest part of this, where they transition to the war on Cybertron. And it looks like... I've always said, man, the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games are so good. I wish we got them animated or whatever. And they look like they're from that. Almost, they look like just fully polished versions of the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron stuff, and almost everybody loves that. It's so
Here's
good.
The thing. Here's the thing about that. It could just be a flashback.
I mean, they're not going to focus on it.
Yeah, so
And
if it's just like a
they do-
2-minute flashback, then probably don't get too excited.
Well, no, here's the thing, and this is a problem. Throughout the series, Cybertronian forms versus the forms they take on Earth usually differ a bit. So the fact that they like mimic human mouths and such, like I guess while they're on Earth, makes a bit more sense, even if it looks god awful. So the fact is that for the time that we're going to be seeing them, they will actually look really, really good. And it's like the perfect... This is what they should have looked like from the beginning, because regardless of how the first movie had stuff, just like, it had good stuff, this is how they should have looked like. Like, people are like, maybe a little bit more realistically on the mechanical part. I'm like, okay, I can see an argument for certain Transformers, but remember, not everything has to be alien by our definitions. Who cares if they look a little bit more like a plastic thing? They can still destroy you and everything you hold there. And it's great, but not only did they show it, because they could have just showed random
And
robots.
here's the thing.
Okay, yeah. Here's the thing, what?
I saw a third video on Transformers, and basically it's talking about how the problem with one of the problems with the Transformers movie is that because Autobots and Decepticons look exactly the same, and they look like giant robots, and they're not that humanoid, we don't really identify with the Autobots, and so we don't identify with any of the robots because we're identifying with the humans. That's probably why they tried to give them regular human mouths, because we needed to actually identify with them.
Yeah, except that didn't need to happen. There is other shows. There are other ways to do that, because Decepticons usually have concurrent color schemes, or if they don't, and they have if even the brighter Decepticons usually has a Decepticon symbol more brazen on them. Just because usually Decepticon colors are dark greens, purples, blacks, grays, maybe some reds, and the Autobots are usually more brightly colored, with of course exceptions, but that was almost never a problem, except in Transformers Energon, where everybody looked like a bundled mess. But you know, the thing is, they didn't need to do that, and in the end, it just made it look god awful.
Yeah. But
back to what I'm saying, they could have. The good part of this is that they could have showed just like, oh, this is the random war of Cybertron, and then dropped Optimus. Just like dropped the whole Optimus mob, like Optimus talking to him and everything. But they showed Shockwave. and just like the shot of just the original Shockwave, and so many people have such love for Shockwave, especially with the Shockwave in the Aligned continuity in Transformers Prime and the Fall of Cybertron games and all that stuff. It was so great that they showed it, that I was like, oh man, I can't believe it. He looks exactly how I want him to look. It's great. And then they continued, and then they showed Soundwave and Ravage. And as a huge Soundwave fan, I was just like, that was the point where I was like, no, that's it. I'm on board. I'm sticking with this. Just that they showed, I could take a screenshot of Soundwave right now in HD and just like frame it. It is so perfect. Just showing those two means that we're at least going to get some sort of good war sequence between them, kind of like the trailers and openings for War and Fall of Cybertron, where we had specific like war scenes going on. It was great and great cinematically produced, but this has so much potential to keep going, and the way how he summons Ravage is just so good. Ah, man. I'm going to be very mad if they somehow mess this up. Everybody's going to be supremely angry if they mess this up somehow.
Thing is, my final point.
Yes.
My final point is that, because for like 30 seconds I was wondering if my sound cut out, but you're incredibly excited, so I get it. My point is that my final point is that something that might be stopping people, 3 points in one. One, I'm wondering if people won't go to see this because they've been burnt out by the other Transformers movies. It's my first.
Well, barely anybody has, like, the stuff has been dwindling as people have just realized the quality is just bad.
I mean, the stuff has been dwindling, but it's still dwindling as in, it's only made $500 million rather than $1 billion. So, unless people still go to these, so they're probably not worried about that. My second point is, there might be people who are like, yeah, but this all leads to the Michael Bay universe, and that's going to put a damper on their minds. Which is why I believe that if this movie is successful, they're going to reboot the franchise with it. And this is just going to be a new set of
Well, that's what everybody
believes.
Well, that's what everybody believes. Everybody's hoping that it's good so that we can get a soft reboot. Or a hard reboot, we wouldn't care.
Yeah, I think they're aware that no one would care.
Yeah, so I just wonder what's going through Michael Bay's mind right now. It's
an explosion. An explosion wherein
where he wants this movie to explode.
Hat.
No, it's an explosion wearing hot pants.
Yeah, no, it's an explosion wearing a peach hat.
No, it's an explosion wearing hot pants, and I keep reiterating that, specifically because I can't hear those last two words you're saying.
Well, this looks like it's about time to end then, because once things start going all, I can barely hear. After what's been happening later, sure. But I have to say one last thing. That fight between Bumblebee and the Blue Decepticon, it just proves how good it is. Just like where it's in the dark and I can still see what's going on because their colors are bright. It's like you just like that's what. Well, that's not the only thing we were missing, but that was like a key component. I can't tell which is which in all the going metal or whatever. I can barely tell who is who while everybody else is fighting, unless they were talking. And just the fact that they showed that in the dark, in a rapidly moving action scene. Well, not rapidly moving in terms of camera, because wow, Michael Bay, like, come on, man. Don't give your camera to sugar addicts. So it's the fact that they showed that at night, and I could still clearly tell what was going on. This is hitting off so many good notes for me. Like, ticking off practically everything. That good.
Ah, man. But yeah, let's end this before something terrible happens to our audio.